Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hello everybody and welcome to this event, Managing Stress by Listening to Your Body. And I'm sure the title by itself is a bit exciting to consider when we talk about stress. Let me start by introducing myself. My name is Dr. Yusra Latig. I'm a clinical psychologist and I work at the King Abdulaziz Medical City. And I want to thank everybody involved in organizing this activity, the Postgraduate Center, Rab'a and Mr. Abdurrahman, and everybody actually with this new technology that we're all new to. So I hope everything will go well today. We're hoping to be, this seminar, we're hoping to be the first of a series, actually, events or seminars that talk about stress, especially for healthcare workers. We believe that this could be helpful for any kind of stress, but it will be specifically relevant to the current situation that we're all facing. It's something new, something it's unusual that we're all have to live with. And it create an extra effort on us, and I think that's why it will be helpful for this relevant situation, but also for overall stress-related matter. I thought by starting, because I usually like to have my seminars or workshop interactive, I want to hear the voice of the audience attending. So I thought I will start by asking you a few questions. Maybe we can check in with each other. And I will start by this question, which is very much relevant to the talk. Where is your stress level right now? Rab'a will put a link on the Q&A. If you just click on that link, it will take you directly to a website where you will see this question. Maybe I'll just stop the camera. So, okay. Okay. So I hope you find the question. So what's your stress level from? Yes, that's the link you have. Camera. The stress level usually goes from 1 to 3. That's from the green color. You could see it's kind of within appropriate amount. Then you have the yellow in the middle, 4, 5, 6, and from 7 above, that's where the stress gets high. Okay, I hope you're all finished with this. I have another question here. I will go back to you, to your attention right now. Where would you say that your attention right now? Is it in your thoughts? Let's start with the emotion. Is it in your emotion? How do you feel? I'm feeling anxious, worried, bored, tired. Or is it in your thoughts, things that comes to your mind? What I'm thinking, what is this exercise is all about? Why should I attend this? You know, these thoughts that come to mind, or the body sensation, the pain and the pressure, or any kind of sensation. We have another question for you. Again, Rab, I will put it on the link. If you click on that, you will have these 3 options. Where is your attention right now? If you just think about it for a second and choose one of these 3 options, it can tell where is the attention usually goes. The last one in the questions, again, this is the last question. If I ask you to check in with your bodies and look at the sensation that you're feeling right now, we will have different kind of sensation: warm, cold, relax, pressure, tension, discomfort, tightness, or pain. Go through this list and you can select any of these feelings. You could have different feelings in different parts of your bodies, but check on these feelings, and whatever you actually notice, just click on that. Okay. Before we go in, I will share with you the results. I will see if I can find it. Okay. Okay. So if we talk about, so the majority comes in the 6 and 5, 20%, and 20%. So we have a total of votes of 41. So maybe not everybody is answering this, but it's good to see that around 24% is in the middle. In the 10 or 9, that's not too much. That's something good. Let's see the other one here. Where is? This is where the sensation here. Let's see, where did you focus your attention? Where is the attention? 69%, the focus is in the thoughts. Our attention usually stick into the mind, the thoughts that comes to our mind. That's very much the typical scenario that we are hearing. Only 13%, which is 4 out of the total vote, that actually consider or pay attention to the body sensation. The last thing I ask you is the sensation that you're feeling. So your majority feel or recognize the tension and the discomfort. Only 6% notice nothing. There's a little warm and cool, relaxed. We have 13% of feeling relaxed, which is good. Thank you very much for taking the time to answer these questions. And I think these kind of questions will feed into the topic that we're talking about. So listening to our body. Why should we listen to the body? You see from the survey we just did that the majority of us is actually focusing on the thoughts. Focus on your mind, what's going through your mind. And I could say to a little extent that we're ignoring the body. But why should we listen to our body? What important information could we get from there? In order to answer this question, we have to go back to what do we mean by stress? What's the definition of stress? There's so many different definitions for stress, but one of the very fundamental definition is the stress is defined by the way our body responds to threats. So the body response is actually at the very core of the definition of stress. It's how our body responds. And let me take you to a very simple example here. If you are facing with a predator, a wild animal that will eat you alive, what will happen to your body? Can you imagine that? Just think about it for a second. What will happen to your body? What usually happens to our body is the emergency alarm system. When we are faced with danger, when we sense danger, our body defense kick into a very high gear of rapid automatic process known as the fight or flight response. This is the reaction. This is the emergency reaction. Our body is built in, the system is built in within our body in order for us to survive. Otherwise, humankind will not be surviving until now. So this is what happened. The fight or flight response is actually affects the whole system. And I'm sure you know all about this, but it's very important to go through it again, because it's very important to mention some of the little details. Now, in the fight or flight response, there's something that will activate more, so your heart will accelerate faster. Your breath and oxygen level, you will have to breathe faster as well. But your eyes and ears will have a very tunnel and selected attention. You will not be seeing or hearing things out of the scope of danger, because that's what we need to focus on. Your sight and your hearing, you have to focus on the danger in order to survive this. The digestive system is not important. I need to survive now. So all these changes that happen to the body, this is how God created us, which is very much normal. But the problem is, your body will respond to threat, whether this threat is real, like a predator, a wild animal, you're running for your life, or you perceive this event to be stressful. So any danger, your body responds in a very primitive way, the fight or flight response. So whether this is an argument with your colleagues, with your spouse, with your friend, whether this is an extra work, or whether this is an exam. Some people get anxious or stressed around exam times. And this could also be the same for coronavirus. We all feel stress around this. But again, not everybody have the same reaction to this situation, right? Not everybody will respond to the same way to these situations. May I just take a moment to mention that anyone have a question during my talk, you're happy to send it to the Q&A, and I will be looking at these questions and answer them during the talk. We will have a session at the end to discuss all these questions, but as we go along, if you have anything that comes to your mind, just pop it into the Q&A. So going back to the body response. So the body response is in the same way, whether this is a real danger or whether it's you perceive it. Sometimes you imagine things that happen and then your body will respond the same way. And actually, a lot of the study talk about stress and stressful life events have identified a number of life events that could be stressful. And some of these are actually very common, very normal, and very, we all agree that these are stressful, like the one I'm putting here on the screen. This is the top 10 stressful life events: the death of a spouse, divorce, marriage separation, imprisonment, death of a close family, injuries, illness, and retirement, job loss. All these, I think nobody can disagree that these are very stressful events. However, in this study, Holmes and Rai, they identified this list and they have put it all in an extensive research talking about the stress and events related to stress. And what they actually identify also, not the top 10, but also some other stressful life events, which sometimes think it might, nobody will actually agree 100% that it is stressful. For example, vacation. There's many people who think that vacation actually is a stress relief. But well, for other, vacation could be a stressful event. If you notice the other events I put here, all of them start with change in responsibility, a change in work and hours conditions, a change in living condition, on personal habit. Imagine just the sleeping habit, eating habit, recreation, and even change in social activities and family getting together. And this makes me think immediately of the change that we have to adopt in the face of the new pandemic. There's a lot of changes happening, changes that we never thought we could actually adopt or consider, like, you know, sitting in home, not going out with a social connection, change in responsibility, and even the work conditions. All these changes happen at once. So that's what the research of Holmes and Raya considered, that if you have a job loss or a change of a job, for example, this is one event. It might not be that stressful, but if you think about changing your job while at the same time you're moving to a new home, while at the same time your family member is getting sick, or at the same time you're having a money problem, if these events come together, then that's what extra load is putting on your shoulder. And that's what actually pushes you to the edge sometimes. That's why when we consider these events, it could be little things, but when these are added one to the other, that's what actually create the pressure that we're facing. So imagine with all these changes that we have, they all get together, and that's what actually created some of the stress that everybody's talking about. What is this pandemic? It's not all about, you know, getting infection or getting sick, but also the pressure of the change that we have to deal with. But what is all about the body? Let's go back to the body. So, of course, if you are talking about all these different events, whether we said it's real or perceived, how can we distinguish between the real and the perceived? Lazarus is also one of the big scientists talking about and studying stress, have identified that the demand exceeds the personal and social resources that the individual is able to mobilize. And sometimes we don't actually realize that we're under stress. Sometimes we are actually struggling, but we're not fully aware that we are struggling until we reach certain point. And that's where we need to consider the body. I'll go back to the stress level we talked. I asked you to identify. And in that stress level, there is certain amount of stress that is normal. Sometimes it's healthy, actually. If you're worried about getting infected or worried about this virus, then you will take extra measure to protect yourself and family. But if you are very laid back or you're not at all stressed about it, maybe you will be a little bit relaxed with all the protection procedure that we all have to follow. So sometimes stress is a good thing because it actually pushes you to do things. It actually motivates you to actually study for an exam or prepare for a presentation, and that's the good stress. However, at certain points, when these extra pressure that actually accumulate, when these start to cause major damage to your health, to your mood, productivity, or relationship, or even quality of life, then we have to consider what should we do to stop this, because we don't want to go to the end result where it's the burnout and the breakdown and anxiety and anger. You want to have this under control, because as we said, little bit of stress is good and optimum amount of stress is normal. You cannot find anyone who had never felt stressed at any point of time. It's actually very normal to be feeling that stress. And we use the word stress to describe many things. We describe it sometimes if you're on the phone and somebody else is talking to you and you feel you're stressed out because you have too many information or demands to respond to. So the stress is normal. What you want to do is you want to recognize when are you going off this levels and you're moving toward the orange and red area. This is what we want to know. And here where the body is actually can help us, where we recognize the body. You need able to help yourself not to go off the edge. You need to recognize the vicious cycle of stress, because stress actually goes into cycles. The stress go into cycles, and with each step actually increase the sensitivity. If we think, for example, a stressor, that could be an exam, and I have a certain reaction to it, which is the fight or flight response, and then I'm over-exhausted myself. I wear and tear my body, and and then my health start to get affected. I have reduced amount of sleep and I get headaches. Then I'm more likely to respond to minor stress with the same thing. So if we said that the first few cycles needed a high amount of stress, but with time, there is very little that can actually start up this cycle. This is what we call increased sensitivity to stress. And that's what we need to consider. It's unlikely that we promote that stress, we will eliminate stress altogether. This is impossible. Or that we will get rid of the cycle immediately. No, I think what we are trying to do here is to recognize the cycle, that's one thing, and then try to disengage from it. Sometimes you could actually do it, sometimes not, but this is a practice that you have to do it with time. So breaking out the cycle, there's no one way. There is no one way of doing or breaking out the cycle. And that's why there is a lot of stress management practice and the stress management program, because it depends on which area you want to focus. So, for example, you could work on the stress level, on the amount of stress that you're having. So if it's too much work, maybe you need to work on time management, or changing some practical tips within that situation. But sometimes you cannot. Coronavirus or this pandemic, we cannot change it. It's a fact that we all have to survive this. So sometimes the stressor or changing that stressor is not something within our hands. So what do we do then? We have other possibility is to disengage from that cycle at a different point, maybe reaction to stress. And when we're talking about the body response to stress as the immediate reaction to stress, so maybe that's what I need to do, is to go to the immediate reaction, the very few responses, and then start to alter that reaction, rather than keeping the cycle all up, all the fight and flight response activated, and I get into that for half a day, and then later at the end of the day, I notice that I'm stressed out, let me do something. No, the idea here is to recognize as early as possible these physical sensation, these reaction, the body reaction to stress. And sometimes also the body sensation, or recognizing and becoming aware of your body, can actually help you at another level. Maybe you are in that stressful situation for quite some time, and you become very sensitive to stress. Now everything can activate that alarm system. Recognizing your body can actually help you also at this level of interaction. Are we all good so far? I hope. Let me see if there is any questions. The fear and anxiety during this pandemic is causing stress. I think yes. Definitely the fear and anxiety during, there is, as I said, it's how we perceive it. It might be that some people are very aware and very focused on the risk of getting ill. Some people are worried about others, especially if they have parents at risk. And some are just anxious and worried about the changes that is happening, or sometimes about when is this going to end. So it's different for everybody. This is the perception of it. But what is common among all of us is how our body is responding. So whether you think you're afraid of the virus getting infected, or whether you are upset about the change in the life situation, the stress and how your body responding to it, it's the same. I'll have another question here. Also, stress resulting from the constant thinking of the future in general. Of course, regardless of the change, thinking by itself is the most stressful act. Definitely, I agree with you. it's actually a circle of thoughts, emotions, and action. And the emotion, it could be the feelings, the emotional feeling, or the body sensation. And they all link together. They all feed into each other. There is a separate seminars we will be doing on the thoughts exactly. And I usually give it as, I call it stress from within. Because it's actually the thoughts that we're having exaggerate the stress. It could be one of the things. But that's a different topic here. As I said, stress management has so many different ways. Not one way or another is the correct one, but it depends on your own style and how can you help yourself. You could try different things and find what suits you. There is another question here. Why tension give us or lead to the sugar or blood pressure? So you're talking about the why tension is actually causing illness, and that's what the body is all about. When we talk about the fight or flight response, imagine this. So this is an emergency response system that should only activate when there is a real danger. But if this system is activated all the time, it got exhausted. And then the heart, for example, which is one part of it is that is activated during the emergency time, it will get tired. So you wear and tear your body. And that's where all the illnesses can come. There's definitely a specification and details about it, but that's the idea of it. So you're using your body more than it actually can bear, and that's where the illness comes in. I'll go back to the slide now, and listening to the body. How can we listen? So now I explain the idea. I explain the idea that listening to your body, and that's the idea I'm presenting here, that by listening to your body, which is the first alarm system, that there is something stressful in your life, by listening to that early warning sign, you can actually help yourself. I'm going to talk about the benefit of it, but let's talk about how can we do it? How can I listen to my body? What is it exactly? Is it learning that I do? Is it a thinking that I put into mind? Actually, it's a practice. And the very simple practice of this is something that we call body scan. So body scan, it's actually mentally scanning yourself, and you bring awareness to every single part of your body, noticing any pain or aches or tension or general discomfort. What's important here is the goal not to relieve the pain. Maybe you'll do the scan and feel that you have a back pain. The idea is not to relieve the pain. The idea is not to relax. That's a very misconception. But the goal is to get to know and to learn from it, so you can better manage it. Somebody here asked me if I can repeat the last slide. I'm not sure which one. You mean this one, breaking the cycle? Is it? Maybe we'll come to talk about it later, and you will get to know what they exactly mean. But we'll go back when we come to the Q&A. But listening to your body is the way that we use to disengage from the cycle of stress. And the body scan is the easiest or the very simple, straightforward exercise. It's not, of course, easy to start with, but it's something that you can try and see. Is it something that suits you? Can you do it? Could it be part of your regular routine? So mentally imagine yourself. I asked you at the beginning about checking in with your body and see which feelings do you see or do you notice. That's a very simple, straightforward body scan. Because what you are asking to do, what I did ask you to do is checking in your body and check, is there discomfort, is there a pain, is there pressure? And that's a very quick body scan. Now will do a more mentally scanning. And usually with people who are just new to this, we usually ask them to listen to an audio where they have instructions, so it will be easy for them to follow. Otherwise, your mind, just like what somebody's participant has asked, otherwise your mind, your thoughts will take you everywhere. What we want to do is to focus on the body right here, right now. I will share with you this audio. This is a very simple 3-minute body scan meditation. This is how we actually focus and scan our body. So what I want to ask you is to sit comfortably. Try to increase the volume if it's not because the voice maybe it's a little bit low. Just take a deep breath and prepare to do a 3-minute body scan meditation. Ready? Ready, steady? And we'll go.
This practice brought to you by Mindful, helping millions of readers and listeners find peace, build focus, tame anxiety, and build a future based on kindness and compassion. Join us at mindful.org/newsletter.
Begin by bringing your attention into your body. You can close your eyes if that's comfortable to you. You can notice your body seated, wherever you're seated, feeling the weight of your body on the chair, on the floor. You can take a few deep breaths. And as you take a deep breath, bring in more oxygen, enlivening the body. And as you exhale, have a sense of relaxing more deeply. You can notice your feet on the floor. Notice the sensations of your feet touching the floor, the weight and pressure, vibration, heat. You can notice your legs against the chair, pressure, pulsing, heaviness, lightness. Notice your back against the chair. Bring your attention into your stomach area. If your stomach is tense or tight, let it soften. Take a breath. Notice your hands. Are your hands tense or tight? See if you can allow them to soften. Notice your arms. Feel any sensations in your arms. Let your shoulders be soft. Notice your neck and throat. Let them be soft. Relax. Soften your jaw. Let your face and facial muscles be soft. Then notice your whole body present. Take one more breath. Be aware of your whole body as best you can. Take a breath. And then when you're ready, you can open your eyes.
This practice brought to you by Mindful.
And when you are ready, open your eyes. Before we go any further, I want to have some feedback from you regarding this practice. If anyone can write it in the Q&A. I want to hear from you. Was it difficult to follow? Was it easy? Did it make sense? Do you think it's a waste of time? Anything that comes to your mind, just write it in. some of the feedback. It's easy to follow, which is good. Any difficulties following the instructions? Because it actually asks you to focus in each part of your body. So sometimes it's not an easy to focus on something when the mind is wandering, and especially some of the when we talk about thoughts, and thoughts usually takes you away. So listening to instructions like this, focusing on specific body sensation, could be sometimes it's not an easy thing to do. So I understand if it's difficult. Very nice. I wish it was longer. I will give you some references and resources where you actually can practice this more. But I'm very glad that you feel it's nice, because this is exactly the practice that you need in order to strengthen that area of yourself. Easy. Okay, good, good. Nobody find it difficult so far. I felt numb in a good way, which is good. Anybody had noticed anything, pain or discomfort that he was not aware of before? This could happen sometimes. And I've done it quite a lot with people who are new to this kind of practice. And sometimes people get to know pain and discomfort that they were not noticing before. Okay. Any other feedback? Any difficulties following through? Okay, so I think we're good. I'm happy that all. Yes, I feel pain in my finger. So that's a very important thing to notice. So when you notice the pain, were you aware of it beforehand, or just when the instructor asked you to notice? For example, when I asked you to notice your back, did you realize the pain that was there, but you didn't pay attention to? And that's exactly what we need to do in the listening to your body, listen to the feeling that it's there. Of course, if you said this is nice and I like it or I feel good, in order for this practice to be helpful to you, in order to use it as a stress management, in order to use it to disengage from the circle of the stress, you need to do it as a cultivated practice. You need to do it in order to build that skills. It's not something that you do it once, or, oh, I feel a headache now, or I feel stressed out, let's do the body scan. It doesn't work this way. It's not like a paracetamol, I'll take it when I have headaches. It's actually a skills that you need to build in. For example, just like when you're when you're actually making a plant, you want to have flowers in your garden. So you put the seeds and you have to water it daily. If you water it daily, you don't see the response, you don't see the outcome right away. You have to wait, you have to have that patience to get the result at the end. With all meditation practice, with all mindfulness practice and the body scan as part of it, it's something that you have to build in your system. You have to practice it on a daily basis in order to see that effect. So it's not something that you use when only you're tired or you're worried or things like that. So it's remember this picture. You have to water it daily in order for the skills to build in. I'm glad that all the comments so far is easy. I'm very happy. There is very practical tips that we need to do here. As we said, practice it. Anytime you feel stressed, you could do it as a stress response. So I'm feeling stressed before an exam, so I'll sit down and do 3 minutes body scan. That's very good. But you also have to do it several times through the day or as a regular practice. And there's so many different ways of doing this. You could do it one day at a time. You could do very short ones, like this, 3 minutes. You could do it during the day, twice if you want. The evidence in mindfulness, it's actually, you have to do it at least 20 to 30, sometimes 40 minutes a day. But as I said, this is the research that actually keep updating. So there is a recent study that looked at 20 minutes a day practice that actually found an effect. But the idea is it has to be a daily practice. Constantly, somebody asked if it's constantly. Well, it has to be daily practice. And I always give the example of when you want to build your body, whether you want to get slim or you want to get some muscles, you don't go to the gym once, right? Oh, I need to build some muscle, I'll go to the gym today or tomorrow, and that's it. You actually have to go daily or how many times a week in order to build that skill. This is exactly the same. Consider it as training your mind to something else, something that you're not used to it. Somebody said that they felt pain, and that's normal, as I said, because sometimes the pain is there, but we are not aware of it. Now, once we ask you to notice, then the pain is appearing. I will talk about this in a minute in details. But going back to my point, it has to be several times throughout the day as a regular practice. In order to success in this, you have to implement it within your daily routine. People they don't go to the gym that often. Sometimes they try to fit it in, but they don't succeed. They go into the gym and they pay the 6 months or membership, and they don't go because they fail to put it within their system. That's, I think, the biggest challenge, because the practice itself, it's not painful. It's not. It doesn't require equipment or anything. But how can you incorporate it within your daily practice? That's the idea. And from my experience, my personal experience, when I start doing this meditation, I found it very difficult to attend the group. I was with a group. They met daily at 11 o'clock, and they meet for around 1 hour. They meditate, and I attended a few sessions with them, and then I get really bored, and it becomes stressful actually to attend the session because I have to put it in my schedule, but I really like the practice and I want to develop my skills in it. So I needed to think of otherwise. What I decided to do, I thought of what is the main thing that I do on a daily basis that I attach it to it. And then I put it with the prayer time. So every time you finish your prayer, you sit down and do the meditation for 2 minutes. It doesn't have to be long. But now I connect things that I do daily and I attach it with it. And that's what becomes a daily practice for me. So that's one thing to consider. The other thing is you don't have to do it exactly the same way that we did. You would have on the internet so many different tapes and recording and instructions for the body scan, and also for other type of meditation. There's so many different ways of doing this. There's no one way that's wrong or right. Find the one that suits you. Don't push yourself to do something that is not. I remember one time the audio recording for the voice was annoying for somebody. So try to find a voice that is nice and you feel that it's okay to hear to it. So you don't have to do it exactly the same thing. And there is a very abbreviated version of body scan, which it doesn't take even less than 1 minute. When you just check in, even if you are waiting at the coffee shop or waiting, for your doctor appointment or waiting for people to come to a meeting, you can just very quickly check in with your body. Otherwise, your mind will be wandering. Let's imagine this situation. You're waiting for a meeting and people are late. you could actually be thinking all these different thoughts about what they're waiting. I'm losing time. I wasted my time on them, and get angry and all that other cycle. Other cycle. The body scan is to disengage from the cycle and check in with your body. What are you feeling right now in each part of the body? So just go quickly around this body part and come back. So this is a very small version of body scan. What is the benefit of this? I know I talk in general terms that body scan can help you disengage from the vicious cycle of stress. Yes, that's true. But let's talk specific about the benefit of body scan that can actually help us. Benefit of you are aware of tension. That's I think two people actually talk about they felt pain and during this exercise, and had this, people who had difficulty to follow. I'll come back to this, but let's talk about the pain and the pressure. Sometimes the benefit of body scan that you become aware of the feelings that you're having that you didn't otherwise realize, because the body scan didn't cause the pain. The pain was already there. That's very important thing to mention. The pain was there, but maybe you didn't realize it. You didn't realize the physical discomfort that you're experiencing. Maybe a headache or back pain or shoulder or muscles. And without knowing this, this pain or discomfort that you're feeling within your body, it's going to affect your emotions. It's very unlikely that someone has headache and he's happy about it. They definitely will create some pressure on you, and that's why it's important to recognize it. Because understanding how the stress affects your body improves your ability to contain it. And I will give you this example. Just think about this scenario. So I have a back pain and it's really, really pressuring me, but I'm not paying attention to it. And I go to work and I have to stand up for a number of hours, and I'm getting really tired, and the back pain is pushing me harder, but I'm not paying attention to it. I'm just focused on the work and getting the job done and all these demands that I have. And then a friend of mine comes and, ask any question, and I snap. I shouted or whatever do, and then I created this a huge conflict that it was created. Let's repeat the scenario, but with noticing the pain in my body. So I'll come back, I'll come to work with that back pain that I know is hurting me. And because I know it, because I'm noticing it, I will be able to make better decisions. I will decide that I will take frequent breaks. I will decide that I will, at certain point, I'll have to stop and go, for example, lay down and do or take something to contain it. But the idea is, even if somebody come and talk to me, I might be able to say, I'm feeling really tired today. I have pain on my back. So this kind of awareness can help us deal with situation better, because I'm aware that this pain is pushing me to my limit. So I'm aware that I can actually make something different here. Does it make sense? Because this scenario is very common, and I hear it a lot, especially with mothers. If they have little kids, they sometimes shout at them, and at the end they feel they regret, and they try to understand why they get upset for something that is not important. They said, because I was tired all day long. Because you were tired and you're not listening to the body, that's where the pressure sometimes pushes you to the edge. There is also another benefit, which is to improve your concentration, because you can see the bigger picture. You can make better decisions. And you can ask me, how can I do this? How can I have a bigger picture when I'm focused on my body? Do you remember when I show you the fight or flight response? When you are under fear, when there is danger, and the emergency system start to be activated, you will have a tunnel vision, and you will have a temporary hearing loss. Not a hearing loss. You actually select what you hear. Your vision and your hearing will be focused only on the topic of the danger, only on that specific area. You will unlikely that you will hear or you see things that out of the scope of the stress. That's the idea here. And sometimes nice things could happen around you, but you are so stressed to notice, because your vision is very focused on the danger. And I'm reminding you of the predator, the wild animal that here. If you are in a phase of fighting for your life with an animal and somebody make a joke, definitely you will not hear it, you will not enjoy it, and you will not notice it, because you are in fighting for your life. And that's exactly what happened with the stress. You will not hear the nice things around you, you will not see it, because you're so much concentrated on the stressed object or the stress situation. I don't know if any of you, this is a very something I noticed these days, and I wanted to put some video here, but I couldn't download it. Have you ever noticed during this pandemic and all the lockdown and all the stress about lockdown, have you ever noticed anything nice about it? Anybody think that there is some benefit out of this lockdown and all the restrictions? I'm waiting for some feedback if you want to write it down. Because I have a few things that I've just noticed. One of them is birds singing in the morning. I don't know if anyone have heard it or not, but the singing become very loud, as if the bird is taking the stage. We allow them, we give them the space, and now they're actually enjoying the time. This is something really nice, and I start to enjoy every day in the morning. And actually, you can hear it all day long, but in the morning it has a special effect for me. But this is something to realize, that although and despite all the stress and the pressure around us, if you just notice, if you just pay attention to the body and all the sensation and all the information that comes from the senses, you might be able to see something nice, something good, something it's out of the scope. I see somebody said, yes, I'm happy. Is it the bird singing? Yes, a lot. It's something amazing, actually. More time to self-reflect, true. Yes, I totally agree. There's a lot of benefit. But believe me, you will not be able to recognize this if you just focus on the stress trigger, in the stress content. And I start to hear people talking about, I want to meet with somebody, but I don't want to talk about the coronavirus. Sometimes you really get tired of talking or focusing on just the stress that everybody's talking about, and you want to expand your experience. We care more to others, especially our loved one. Yes, exactly. So there is a benefit. So if you can see the bigger picture, if you I'm bringing you back to the body scan. If you do the body scan, it will increase your ability to concentrate, and you can see bigger picture because you're actually activating all your senses. We have vision, we have the hearing, we have the sensation and the taste, and there's 5 senses. But 60 or 70% of you said that you're focusing on the thoughts, and that's the alternative that we want to turn it around. We want more attention to the body and less attention to the thoughts that comes in and out. And the last benefit for the body scan is the power to heal. Kabat-Zinn is one of the founder actually for meditation for stress reduction, and he has extensive research, and anybody can just type his name and you'll find all the books and publications. And one of the research keeps showing us that meditation can have an effect on the body as well. It's the physical benefit. Some of them include reduced inflammation and fatigue and insomnia. And there are actually many more, but I didn't want it to be a research review talk. But you can actually go and look at this. These are some resources. I will give some time now to question and answer, and I will be happy to go through some of the things we use. But here are some resources. You can find the Headspace. Headspace has a lot of practice. You actually can log in and create an account, and you can do a daily meditation practice. That's for the Headspace. And for the mindful, there are also some good resources and articles about it. For the Oxford Mindfulness Center, if you are interested in looking at the research and the scientific papers and things within that area, you can find it in the Oxford Mindfulness Center. So that's basically what I prepare as a talk, but I want to give some more time to discussion. And I leave we will open the Q&A now. So, okay, I'll go through some of these. I practice gratitude daily, and I have heard the bird chirping. It was nice. Yes, I totally agree with you, and I advise everyone here tomorrow in the morning, just try to focus on what you hear. And you will hear very nice bird singing. And it's amazing, actually. There's so many different types or different voices. Just recognize how many of them. I'm relieved from the social pressure and unwanted interaction. There is something good about it. Quiet environment, easy to relax, more time for myself. That's all the positive things. That's a very important question here. It's difficult to concentrate and meditate, especially if you prefer someone to talk to. That's a very common reaction, let's say, for people who would like to try meditation or mindfulness. I want to mention something to start with. Not all maybe I'll open the camera so we can, not everybody is actually, the mindfulness is not for everybody. See myself, not for everybody. Mindfulness, it is good for someone, but it's not for everyone. If you try to, you said you try, but you find it difficult to concentrate, and that's very normal. If you remember at the beginning, we said that 60% of us are focusing on the thoughts. Our biggest problem, because the thoughts can take you anywhere. And if you want to focus on the body, your mind will take you to somewhere else. And that's the biggest challenge. Practice daily can help you develop this skill. But again, it's up to you. You said here you prefer to talk to someone. If this is what you like to do, you don't want to be in meditation or practicing this, that's your choice, and maybe it's fine with you. You like to use more social interaction. However, meditation, it's not something that you practice it from one day or second day and then you know if it fits you or not. I would advise you to try it further. Give it a try for 2 weeks, let's say, and see if it's really something that you enjoy or you prefer not. Anything else in here? It's difficult to concentrate. I'm able to concentrate on myself and I can. My future. I see very positive comments here. Saving money, that's a good thing. Well, if not, if you are online shopper. Online shopping become a very disaster. You care more of others, especially our loved one. Yes, I think we answered this. Okay. Okay, well, okay, so that's what I have for you. Anything else anyone want to repeat or to discuss? Let's see the question here. Does this practice apply on people who have stress, who have an anxiety issue? Okay, that's very important question. I actually wanted to put it on the slide or talk about it. So it's good that you mention it. Meditation could be, it's actually recognized as treatment for depression, especially the chronic depression. However, if you are in the episode of chronic low mood or chronic anxiety, then mindfulness might not be the best thing to try. You need to work things out before you could start meditation. But as I said, if you're currently have an anxiety disorder or panic disorder and diagnosed or in treatment, so you might want to discuss this with your therapist or your psychiatrist or anyone you are currently seeing. If you have just an anxiety that is not reached to the point that you are actually being treated for, then meditation is nice for them. You could actually apply it, and the evidence suggests that it actually works for anxiety, for depression, for panic symptoms, although it could be tricky with panic because in panic disorder, they actually focus on their body. And that's what we are actually also doing, asking them to do, to focus on their body. But the challenge here is rather than focus on only one part, we ask them to consider other parts. But anyway, if you have an anxiety that is actually affecting your performance, your functionality, and you think that maybe mindfulness is increasing these symptoms, so maybe it's not the right thing to do at this point. So I answered the practice. There's plenty of time to do many things, which stress less for me to do at my own. I don't understand this, but let me repeat. There's plenty of time to do many things. What is the next step after meditation? That's a good question. So what's the next step? So I meditate today and tomorrow and the day after, and what will happen? When I will see the results? As I said, as you're watering a plant and you want to see it grow, the meditation doesn't give you the immediate effect. It's not a quick fix. If you find it difficult to incorporate it within your daily practice, very unlikely to have the complete or the benefit that it's reported by research. But there is more evidence to suggest that even on daily basis can actually have an effect. But doing meditation, I will repeat the same thing I said before, just consider it as training your brain muscle. So you're actually training your brain to navigate life differently. So meditation, and there is also something, maybe you don't see it as a good thing. You don't do meditation for a certain amount of time and then you stop and you think, oh, I get the benefit, I don't need it anymore. This is the benefit you get out of meditation. You will continue having these benefits as long as you keep the practice. And I'm giving you the example again of the exercise. If you go to the gym, you will have a fit and healthy body. If you stop, not necessarily the gym, but if you stop exercising, you will lose the benefit that you gain from exercising. That's exactly the effect that you get from meditation and focusing on the meditation. There is no next step for meditation. Meditation is along the way. I use essential oils to calm my mind before meditation. It works even better. Yes, you could use anything that will help you. Sometimes people like to create some atmosphere for them before they start meditate. Making the situation calm and the light and everything. Sometimes even if you have things to do that you know it will come to your mind while doing meditation, maybe it's easier to put them down on a to-do list. Just write them down so you know you rest your mind in peace, that by putting all things that you need to do. So whatever routine that you will do in order to help you focus on the meditation, it will be nice. There's one thing also I want to mention about the meditation routine. Yes, it doesn't have to be. I know some people like to do it, or this is how we see it in movies and things like that. It has to be calm and the light and. But actually, the beauty of meditation in this difficult, busy life is actually you can do it anywhere. As I said, you could be waiting for a meeting and you start to get upset because you're waiting and it's too much to do, and your mind starts to wander to things that in the past and the future. You could actually use that time to do any little of that meditation. A quick body scan could actually work out. So it doesn't have to be always that atmosphere created for meditation. This is nice and do it every once in a while, but it doesn't have to be this way. How to manage stress if shopping outside is one of your stress relief. You have to find another stress relief. And I advise you try to avoid the online shopping. The problem, I know that's exactly what we talk about. It's change in our life, the change in our situation. This is a very stressful thing. It's actually considered that one of the stressful events. The advice that we usually give is try to find a practical solution. Try to find a practical solution. I will give you an example. I remember a friend of mine who used to have that shopping as a stress relief. But with time, she started losing money, and that's really not good, because losing money and spending all money on things that you not necessarily like or want or need could create an extra pressure on her. So she found a very practical solution. She will go shopping, she will buy a few things and put them in their bags with their receipt, and after a few days and go back and return them. So she actually find that solution for herself. I know it's an extra effort to actually go and buy and return, but that's her practical solution. So I will advise you to find a practical solution for this stress relief. There's so many different ways of finding a stress relief that could replace the shopping. Do you think that the sadness we are feeling is in fact a mourning process? Yes, and we should go through it instead. Thank you very much for this question. I think yes. The situation that we're living right now, it's something unprecedented. It's an experience that no one in this world have experienced. Maybe the old generation, the previous generation have lived through the World War I and II. Maybe they have similar, but for this current pandemic and the change that actually forced on us as a whole, it's definitely a change. It's an easy change, and there are some people who consider it as a grief. So we're grieving the normal life that we're living, and some people will need sometimes to adapt and to change and to adjust to this. The idea that I'm presenting today, it's not to feel happy quickly, not to feel relaxed quickly. I think what I'm trying to give to you today is actually to give you a tool that you can incorporate within your daily practice that could have a long-term effect. That's the idea. But I totally agree. We are going through a process which is very new to everybody, that we don't know even what will happen later. But we're all in an experiment on this thing. What about application like Calm? Calm is also a good one. I think it's very similar to Headspace. Actually, if you type meditation practice or body scan or whatever in Google, you will find a tremendous amount of resource. I try few here, so I guide you a little bit. Otherwise, it's very overwhelming for people who are new to this. Okay, somebody will have meditation as lifestyle. Good to go. My work is very stressful. I make sure I do physical exercise before going to work. It's also a form of stress reduction. Yes, definitely, I agree with you. Sometimes, if you remember, breaking the cycle of stress, not always, the first one is if you can change the stress, why not change the source of stress? But not always that we will be able to do this. If your stress, if your workplace is highly stressful, people who work in the ICU, for example, or in an ER, it's very stressful environment. But this is their job. This is how they spend a lot of invest in their self to do. It's not easy to change, so they have to find a way to break the cycle of stress. So this participant here said they use a physical exercise. So they exercise before they go. That's a very excellent approach. And that's one way of looking. My advice to you, if you're doing physical exercise, try to bring some body awareness into the exercise. It will be very interesting to see how that will affect. Because with exercise, there's a lot of sensation. How the back is, your back is feeling, your legs, your shoulders, your hands. Just notice this sensation before you start the exercise and after you do the exercise. You will be amazed with the results if you like the meditation. The new norm will be more stressful due to COVID. Well, definitely, we have not settled yet. COVID-19 came then, and our life is upside down. We still have not settled down until they find the solution for this virus. But what we can do is just go with the flow and find as much as we can from the resources that we have. Resources within the environment and resources from within ourselves. And the body awareness. It's one of the resources that you have within. So even if you're alone, even you don't have somebody to talk to, as somebody here mentioned, I know it's nice that I talk to someone if I'm stressed. But if you don't have, then what can you do? So there's a lot of resources that you could actually try on. Okay. Somebody asked about the stress cycle again. So because we have time, I will show this. That's, I think somebody asked whether we can. So let me go back to this. So vicious cycle of stress usually starts with a stressor. And here I put the predator because that's the, and I want you to remember this predator actually. Every time you feel stress, every time your body responds to something by palpitation, by shaking, by sweating, just remember your body responding to this event, whatever it was, just like just like he's responding to a predator. Yes, this is the reaction to stress. The fight or flight response is very primitive response. Doesn't distinguish or differentiate between this is a conflict with a friend or this is a criminal want to kill me. They respond the same way. And once your body responds the same way, if you have more and more stressor in life, you will come to a point where you actually wear and tear your body. That will reduce your health. This is where you go to that red area. And with time, you become more sensitive to stressors. So with time, could be little, for example, not an argument even, maybe somebody disagree with you could actually be a stressor for you because you are becoming more sensitive. You react more quickly to this. So by breaking the cycle, you could actually, there is so many different ways of breaking the cycle at many points. And if you are talking about the stressor, here where you actually change the practical things of life. As we said, if you have too much to do in a very short amount of time, maybe you need some stress management. You need to change the way you're actually dealing with things. If you have practical problem, it could be pain. For example, you go and have yourself checked and maybe taking medication. So that's where I actually targeted the stressor itself. But again, not all stressor can be modified. I cannot get rid of everything, and some stressor are fact. And this is where we give an example of COVID-19. This is a fact. All the changing that we are facing right now, it's a fact, it's there. We cannot do anything about it. I want to go out with my friend, but I can't. This is fact. I enjoy going to the gym, but I can't. And all this is a fact. We can't change it. So maybe we need to do something else. We need to break out of the cycle at another point. So here is the reaction of stress. My body will react quickly to stress. If I develop the ability to listen to my body, then I will be able to recognize as early as possible the early warning sign. So my heart will start accelerate. I have a palpitation. I recognize it immediately. And once I recognize it, I remind myself, this is a stress reaction. Maybe I need to take deep breath. Maybe I need to do the 3 minutes body scan. So now I stop the cycle early on, right? Maybe I didn't notice my heart, but then I start noticing my hand shaking. Why I'm shaking? Because of the argument with my friend. Oh, this is a stress reaction. What should I do? Take a deep breath, do the meditation if you can. Of course, if you are in the middle of situation and you don't always can escape from the situation, as soon as you can, take a break. And sometimes the break doesn't have to be physical. You don't have to say, oh, excuse me, I need 5 minutes break, do my meditation and come back. You don't have to do this. But you can actually, within yourself, if you just close your eyes, take a deep breath, ground yourself, and then remember, this is a stress reaction. My heart is responding to this conflict as it is responding to the predator. Just that quickly realization, coming back and listening to my body can slow down this quick cycle of stress. And that's what we need to do. And I usually think of it just like when you have the traffic lights. If you have a highway, then the car is racing fast. But once you put this traffic light in between, then they have to slow down. So noticing your body is actually just like as you're having a traffic light in the middle of the highway to slow down the process of stress. So that's one thing, your reaction to reaction to the stress, and recognizing your body body information, body sensation can actually with time reduce your sensitivity to stress. So if you are struggling with stress for quite some time and you become so sensitive to that, there is a way for reversing this. That's where the body scan comes in and all the meditation. I hope I explain it better now. So remember, having breaking cycle, it could be anywhere. If you are talking about exercise, maybe you're doing also some of these breaking out of the cycle. So anything actually can feed in. Huh? You could be creative in this. It's not only what you hear from this lecture, but you could actually find the way that it suits you better. طيب on my teeth and have mouth guard. Today I was posted calling you. I'm going to read, but it didn't. Okay, so here that's a very good example of how your stress affect your body. So people who are grind on their teeth when they're stressed, usually they got into this habit with time without noticing until it becomes like a habit. In order to break out that response, you need to be aware, and then you remind yourself to do something different. Just like in the 3 minutes meditation, we ask you to look at different body parts, and then you notice they're getting calm or softer. So maybe you need to try this. Of course, you will not see the result right away, but this is something you have to practice on a daily basis. Why don't you think about the beta blockers? What do you think about the beta blockers? I really don't know. It's not my area of specialty, so I cannot comment on that. But I'm sure there's somebody else in the other presentation or webinar can answer you. Thank you to you. If there is no more question, maybe you could. There is something I want to mention to you. There will be a survey at the end. You need to do the attendance, because otherwise you will not have the CME hours. You need to do the attendance and put your license number in order, registration ID. So in order for them to get you the CME hours. Any other question? Any other question, or you think we're good to go? Okay, I think that's about it. Thank you very much for your attendance, for your listening, and I hope that you get some benefit out of this event. And we're going to have a few sessions more. Some of them might be, again, around the stress reduction. Some of them might be related to families, but it will be a variation of topics. Thank you very much. I have pleasant, although I like interaction, I wanted to see your faces and interact in person, but this is good. This is good experience for me. I hope to see you again or share with you another session in the future. Thank you very much.